wait, stop. He sells on the Pacers that he's talked hype about all season, and then buys the 76ers that we have trashed all season.
They got the generation of chatter on Twitter everywhere, and I'm pissed I'm giving it to them, but damn it needs to be talked about.
Starting to become big-time free agents, granted, but in their childhoods, in the early 2000s, were the Knicks ever good? No. Dribbling Around, Episode 9. Connor Glenn, Jaden Becker, and of course myself, Dane Richardson, rocking with you. What would our show be now without another interview, another great one, Ithaca men's basketball player, rising sophomore Liam Spellman, that's coming up later in the show. We do have some more NBA news, some more problems coming up for teams from COVID-19. How is that going to impact the losses for some of those teams, specifically the Bucks, the Pelicans, and the Clippers? We'll get to the names of those players a little bit later. A little 10-year contract debate. Who's going to be the best player long-term in the NBA? But we're not going to start with those topics. We're going to start with Victor Oladipo of the Indiana Pacers. Previously saying he was going to opt out of the bubble and not play for the Pacers, now rethinking his decision and potentially jumping back in, and that would be a huge get for the Pacers to have him back on the floor for the playoffs. Do you think this changes anything now for Indiana? Obviously, it makes them more competitive, but do you think Oladipo being back potentially could get them a first-round series win?
I'm sure you're happy, Dane. That's for sure. Oh, my Pacers are coming back. They're not your team, but Lakers, you're your team. But you've been talking great about the Pacers for so long. So I'm sure you're ecstatic. Oh, the Pacers that I liked all season, they have their guy back. But yeah, that does make an impact. You know, you have one of your main guys, and I know he has had his moments this season where he's had his highs and he had his low lows. But bringing a core piece back and when your team is all together like that, it definitely helps out, especially when you expect them to be there with you and down towards one of the biggest moments in NBA history, going down to the bubble. Who's going to be there, and you have one of your big guys, and it's going to be a big mental boost.
Yeah, make no mistake, Sabonis obviously stepped up this year, but Oladipo is clearly this team's leader. And to get him back is going to be a huge boost because the Heat, right now, they have 2 games ahead of each, Indiana and Philly. So you never know how those games could go, whether or not Oladipo plays. They might drop down to 6 and be stuck against Boston if he doesn't play, or they might be able to sneak up to 4 and either play Miami or Philly, however they land. So Oladipo clearly would be a huge boost. I'm not sure if this would put them past the second round, but it would definitely make an impact on the overall playoff structure.
I agree with you guys, but at the same time, we got to think, what kind of Victor Oladipo are we getting? Pre-injury, he was an all-star, right? The Pacers played mostly and the majority of the season without Victor Oladipo and did pretty darn well, especially Nate McMillan coached them well. And for the position they were in with their personnel, they had a great season up to COVID-19. Well, if Oladipo comes back and is still a little rusty and isn't able to get back in his groove, I think that could maybe hurt the Pacers a little bit. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get that version of Victor Oladipo, but I think, yes, it's going to make an impact, but there's some downside to this. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, you're right. And, we could see a tough Victor Oladipo, but the bench is there for a reason. If he's not playing good, put him on the bench. He doesn't need to play all the minutes that he always does, Yeah, obviously he's getting paid money to do so, but, it's a fact. If there's not playing well, don't play him as many minutes and see where they go from there. And obviously you're going to have to get him on the floor every once in a while. Maybe he finds his groove, he needs to get reps, but still maybe he's better off having the squad that was doing well in the season without him get that big chunk of minutes like they're used to getting. Oladipo gets cycled in here and there and, gets to run around the court with the squad and everything like that. But hey, you got to realize as well, it's not like they're all chilling at home and no one's talking to each other. They're all together now. So, what are you going to do? Like, talk about, you couldn't be more bonding than ever at this point. So I think we're going to see the Victor Oladipo of old, where pre-injury, someone that's going to be on the court, ready to go, ready to play ball.
Well, guys, let's keep in mind that they still have an all-star on that team that pretty much led them on the court this year, Domantas Sabonis.
What a guy.
I think Oladipo, I'm not sure he'll get the regular all-star Oladipo minutes he will in the first 3 quarters, but I am anticipating he'll be their main closer. They'll probably spare him and just kind of rest him up to make sure that, hey, he's ready to go once it comes down to crunch time and he can deliver. But I'm not expecting all-star Oladipo right off the bat, and give him a couple games, like 6 to 8. Give him those regular season games to get back to his form. By then, he'll be ready for the playoffs, and him and Sabonis will be a great 1-2 punch that I think could get them out of the first round.
Interesting take. And I said the Pacers will win a first-round series and shock a lot of people. And if you look at it without Oladipo, the reason why they are where they are is because they have professional scorers. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon's a guy that kind of under the radar, but he gets the job done. And he can maybe be a closer if you need him to. He's calm, cool, collected under pressure, great free throw shooter. TJ Warren's a good scorer. I'm not saying he'd be a closer. And then you got a two-headed monster underneath with Sabonis and Turner and a few good pieces off the bench, Jeremy Lamb to name one. So the Pacers, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Jaden, I'm going to ask you. Connor, you said they could maybe get out of the first round. Do you think the Pacers could get out of the first round, maybe knock off Miami, someone like that?
Definitely could. Definitely could. Not putting it past. I'm not saying it's a lock. Like, oh, Pacers going, 2-3 rounds. Oh, they're going all the way. But yeah, could they win a first round matchup? Yeah, they could beat the Heat, especially with the way that the Heat have played. And they're great at home, but there's no longer a home. They're still in Florida. I get that, but
I have more confidence in them beating Philly just because I also think.
Oh yeah, me too.
I don't think they're going to match up against Philly because of where the standings are right now. But,
well, no, I mean, like, Miami, if they drop 3 games and, like, to each Philly and Indiana, both teams move up 1 spot, and then we're looking at a Miami-Boston first round and a Philly-Indiana. So that's definitely a possibility.
I think the Pacers could take any of those mid-level teams, take the Sixers, take Miami.
I think it would be.
I don't think they'll take Boston. I do not.
Yeah, I don't think they'll touch Boston. Okay, we all talked.
Yeah.
We all paused there. A little funny moment.
I think they'll.
Jaden, go ahead.
I'll think they'll take over any of the mid-level teams, like we said. They'll take over Miami. I think they can do that. They take over the Sixers. I don't think they touch the Raptors. I don't think they touch the Celtics. Right? It's just a level above. Right? Just a level above. If they do, that's a really big deal. Like a really, really big deal. And I think that should be something to worry about.
I think.
And we talk a lot about their offense. I'm really looking at their defense, man. That front court is really strong, guys.
Miles Turner blocks a lot of shots.
So, that's what I'm looking at more than their scoring, right? Yeah, you could throw Victor Oladipo in there, and, it's obviously it's going to be a big boost to the scoring. But if that defense can stay consistent in that front court, they continue grabbing rebounds because there's 2 big bullies down there. And, you let people forget about Miles Turner. If they can continue, just keep on pushing bodies. And especially now how it looks, everyone's losing weight all of a sudden. If they can continue to be a big presence in the paint, I think they can go definitely that first round for sure.
I will say, last point here, if they end up playing Philly and Philly moves up a spot because they have one of the easier schedules in the bubble, if Philly's sort of a hot team, I think it'll be difficult for Indiana. I know there's a lot of Sixers hate. That'll be a really good series. The one team and there might be a lot of heat if people are listening to this. I think they can overtake Miami. If Miami won that series, I wouldn't be surprised. I think that could go 6 or 7. Absolutely. And the one team I don't think, like you mentioned, Jaden, Toronto, Boston, Milwaukee, I don't think that's in their echelon where they
wouldn't shock me if they slipped to the 16 and had to face Boston first round. It wouldn't shock me if they went to 7 or even won that series.
No,
I think most go 5.
No, I'm saying
maybe
I still think
6.
the Celtics in 5 or 6, but I'm just saying
if Kemba's out, then that's one thing. But if he's ready to go, and he has time.
People think on paper, I would still pick the Celtics in that series. I'm just saying it wouldn't shock me. I think since this is Oladipo news, like, oh, he might be coming back. Dan, I'm starting to become not as big of a closet Pacers fan or believer as you, but I'm just starting to see the light a little bit more.
And I like the Heat too. I'm a big Heat guy right now because I just like the way they play ball and they're so young, right? But just look at the records and just look at their home splits or their road splits. There is no home or road anymore.
With Philly.
So exactly. So that's my question. How are these teams that were almost unstoppable at home are going to do when they're not no longer can be home. So like that's my question. You got to have the fan aspect, everything like that. It's going to be a completely different environment. And if they can continue to do that, that's really credit on them.
Going outside the Midwest and the Indiana Pacers, last show we had Milwaukee Bucks assistant coach Josh Longstaff, and he mentioned a nice little fun competition between Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe. Unfortunately for Eric Bledsoe, he was diagnosed with COVID-19, and some other teams, that have some important players leaving the bubble, most notably the New Orleans Pelicans, with Zion Williamson and Montrezl Harrell for the Los Angeles Clippers. I'm going to ask you two, who's going to make the biggest impact with their absence? Bledsoe, Harrell, or Zion? This might seem like an easy question, but I think we have some different answers here. Connor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a different route than most people are thinking. I'm going to go Montrezl Harrell for the sole reason that the Clippers don't have the 2 seed locked up. They're only a game and a half above the Nuggets. And if I'm LA, I don't want to play Houston first round if I slip to 3. And also, like, you're only 3 games above Utah. Granted, I don't think Montrezl Harrell is going to be make or break. Like, oh, if he's on the Clippers for this last 8 games, they're winning 8. But if he's not, they're only winning 3. I'm not saying that, but I think Montrezl Harrell's absence is going to be huge because he's really their best big guy. Their only really good big guy behind them is Zubac. And are you going to trust him to go up the likes of Jokic, even though I've slandered on him so much? Gobert, Anthony Davis, any of the centers that the Lakers have? I think Harrell's absence is going to be not overlooked, but it's just going to be not as well valued just because, we're looking at Zion missing. And the reason I don't say Bledsoe is because the Bucks have that 1 seed locked up.
Mm-hmm.
They're not moving anywhere in the standings.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go with Zion, purely because if they don't have him, they've been so much better, and he just is that other asset on the floor that does everything. He makes Lonzo Ball's game so much better, and it's like without Zion, New Orleans isn't making it, I don't think, especially with a healthy Portland. And if you look at it, I think Memphis is still 3.5 games up out of 8 games.
Well,
I mean,
no, they just have to be within 4, right, to
I'm not
initiate the play-in?
Yeah, I think they have to be within 3 games, I believe.
I think
Could be wrong.
I thought it was 4.
Something like that. We'll check that after the show. But I think a lot of people are giving some hate to the Memphis Grizzlies a little too much, but we're not going to stay on that topic. I'm going to say Zion because, like I said, New Orleans, a lot of people picked them to sneak into that last spot in the West in the playoffs. And without Zion, you think they're going to do that? And I get your point, Connor. Montrezl Harrell's a big factor. But at the same time, if the Clippers hold on to the 2 seed, the Mavericks aren't far behind the Rockets. So they could, if the Rockets lose a few games, they could jump up to 6. The Rockets could drop down a second. If the Clippers keep the 2, it could be 2-7 Clippers-Rockets. So there's a lot of scenarios within the West. The Jazz, your Thunder, the Rockets are very close. But at the same time, the Clippers are such a good team. So I think they'll win enough games to get a positioning that they like. And they'll likely have Montrezl Harrell, we think, back for the playoffs. And that's really all that matters because of how talented they are. They have a healthy Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So no matter who they play in the first round, I'm going to pick them. They're my finals pick to win it. So I'm pretty confident in them, regardless of whether they have Harrell for these final 8 games.
It's a tie for me, Zion and Harrell. I think it's almost a complete perfect tie because for the Pelicans, yeah, obviously you lose Zion, that's big, but I got a fun stat here, really knowledge right here. That they did an interview with Alvin Gentry and how they thought about what everything's going on, and now that he's going to be gone, he said that there was a stretch where they won 12 out of 16 games without him. So him being on that court, yeah, it's a big deal. Zion Williams, cover of 2K21. This guy is, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But at the same time, he was missing most of the season anyway. It's like it's not like you need him because he was gone for the whole first half of the season. Ingram became something that a lot of people didn't expect to be in New Orleans. Lonzo Ball really balled out, and obviously you want him there. And if I had to give an edge, yeah, I'll give it to Zion because he's just a big name, and they're pushing for a playoff spot, and you're not falling out of a 2 spot. You're not going to fall out the playoffs. So you lose Harrell, you're still going to be in the playoffs, but. With Harrell, yeah, you're right. This guy is probably the best thing that they got at the forward and center position. You have a big guy, best big guy they have in the paint, and that pick and roll game is so strong. And one of the main reasons the Clippers have been so good is that they've been so deep, and the main reason they're so deep is because of him. They have him, and he's able to run that pick and roll game. He's able to push people. He's able to grab boards. He's able to score, and that's some of the most important things. I've said it's a tie for me. If I had to lean one way, it's going to be Zion. But either way, it both affects teams both. It affects them both strongly, but at the same time, you still have Kawhi on the Clippers. It's still going to be the Clippers.
Paul George is healthy.
Yeah, exactly. You still have the main pieces, and for the Pelicans, they've been doing it without him for a while. So,
and I just want to add before we move on, like Bledsoe, if we're talking about this, like in the playoffs, like closer to the playoffs, where these absences would have more impact, I'm taking Bledsoe over both.
No, because hey, remember what Coach Longstaff said.
I know George Hill is that X factor. But also you can't underrate Bledsoe because they're easily their best defensive guard. He's a sneaky good shooter. I mean, you're talking about a guy
It sounds like the impact that Avery Bradley has in the Lakers, and you didn't think that was much. So
okay, don't even try and compare Eric Bledsoe to Avery Bradley right now. I'll just dismiss that and keep going on with my points. That's irrelevant. But we're talking about a starting point guard on the best team in the East, arguably the best team in the entire league, that could be missing meaningful games. Granted, hopefully that's not the situation. Hopefully he can get a couple quick and easy negative tests and just get back with the team as quickly as possible. But I think that Bledsoe, the only reason I'm not saying his name in this discussion is just because they have the 1 seed locked up. And Dane, as you mentioned again, that Coach Longstaff said that they have a lot of faith in George Hill. So I just want to make sure we're not neglecting any Eric Bledsoe fans.
Yeah, and Jaden, you talked about Montrezl in the pick and roll. He helps Lou Williams' game out a lot, but you have that tie a little bit there. You mentioned Brandon Ingram. They've done pretty well. Well, every game's going to be tough now. So that's why I think like some of their wins were against like bad teams.
That's why I say more Zion.
Have a team in the bubble with the exception of like the lower teams in the East.
Yeah, that's why I say Zion would be more of an impact because they need all hands on deck, right? They need everybody there. The Clippers, they can lose a lot of guys and they're still going to be a playoff team no matter what. So, you have to sort of give it to the Pelicans and Zion. Oh, it's obviously a bigger loss because they have more to play for. But if the Clippers fall a considerable amount, obviously they're going to, try to ball out, but it's going to be a harder road to the finals.
Yeah. Impacts remain to be seen. Switching over, our fourth interview here on Dribbling Around, Liam Spellman. You'll see why he's a fun and kind guy. Well, find out. Let's take a look at the Liam Spellman interview.
Hello and welcome back to our 9th episode of Dribbling Around and our 4th interview. Ithaca men's basketball player, sophomore, Liam Spellman. Liam, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
How's your summer been, and how have you been able to stay on the court so far?
It's been a little different than normal, obviously. But recently I've been able to play like pickup basketball with a couple of my friends, and we've actually been getting good runs lately. Funny thing you mentioned that I was just fortunate enough to play with the Ray Allen yesterday or 2 days ago.
Really?
Wow.
Oh, man.
That's great. How did that happen?
So I was playing in a couple towns over in Old Saybrook, and he has like a summer house there. So I've been playing pickup there for the last maybe like month, and all of a sudden we see like a whole entourage come. We see like a couple guys, couple like little kids. And Ray Allen had a hat on, actually, so I didn't really recognize him at first. And he took off the hat, and all of a sudden we all were like starstruck. We're like, "Oh my God, that's Ray Allen!" And
is that what's he cracked up to be? Was he balling out, or
he wasn't going crazy. He's like 40, he's like 45 years old, but I actually got to guard him, and he splashed a three in my face. But I wasn't even mad about it. It was Ray Allen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad either. That's crazy.
That's an awesome experience. I mean, I was going to say, I told you before the show, the last men's basketball player we had, Skylar Stein, he recommended you next. And I was going to say, you got to live up to it. And that story right off the bat already.
It's a home run, man.
Home run to start. So awesome. That's awesome right there. That's something you're probably going to remember forever.
Definitely. Now, if people ask me who's the best player I've ever guarded, I could say Ray Allen.
Yeah, so speaking of legendary Celtics, Skylar described you as the Bill Russell of your town with all your state championships. If you had to pick just one, what is your favorite?
Probably my senior year of basketball. We almost went undefeated. We had one loss in the regular season, But it was kind of sweet because we had won the year before, my junior year, and we had a couple seniors that graduated, and they didn't think our team was going to be just as good, but we actually were better, and we ended up winning the state championship and we moved up a division. So that was probably the best out of all of them.
Mm-hmm. Now, listen, I got to ask you a weird question here. We're looking at the highlight tapes and looking at the bench and stuff like that. What's up with these striped pants that the team's wearing? I don't know. Listen, like that threw me off there a little bit. I know the championships are one thing, but the striped pants, what's up with that?
I think we did that junior year. So I guess it's paid off because we didn't have them sophomore year and we didn't win a state championship, but we've had them junior and senior year and we won it. So I guess that's a good luck charm there. But you don't like them?
No, they're very unique.
I thought they're old fashioned. I kind of like the look, and hey, if you win with them, you win with them.
Yeah,
exactly.
Keep going.
Yeah, that's true.
No one else really has them, so we were unique.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
But they were like you could rip them off too.
So the ripaways. So you're running out.
Yep.
Classic.
So before starting laps, I'd make sure to just rip them. So pretty cool.
So you seem to be willing to do anything on the basketball court that you're asked to do. Is that hustle, Mr. Everything mentality something that you've always had, or did someone help you develop that?
I've always I try to pride myself on being the hardest worker on the court. And I think my dad's had a huge influence on me. He has coached me pretty much my entire life up until high school. And he's kind of had that mentality of me of working hard on defense and offense. And that's kind of my mentality. I want to outwork everyone. That's kind of how I play a lot too, because people will see like I'm working hard and they respect that. So I try to do that all the time.
We really saw that in your first year on the court at IC. But speaking of Ithaca, you won those 4 state championships in high school. Obviously, 2 of them were in basketball. But what about Ithaca College? What made you pick the Bombers as your school of choice?
I think it was kind of a perfect fit, both academically and athletically. When I came on my visit, I instantly fell in love. I mean, the campus was beautiful, as you guys know. And when I visited with the team, the guys were awesome. I really enjoyed my stay. And after leaving my visit, actually, I knew, like, I told my parents, I'm coming here. And I actually applied early decision. So it was just the perfect fit for everything. And I'm really glad I chose Ithaca.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you're a Park guy, so you're sports media. What made you go that route? Obviously, we're all sports media guys, but yours a little different from us. You know, you're balling out. We're not. Like, what made you choose that path?
Yeah, so I was actually going between sports management and sports media. Mm-hmm. And then my coach, Coach Mullins, he kind of moved me in the direction of doing sports media because the Park School, you can't go wrong with the Park School. And I read more up on it, and it seemed like the perfect fit. I only wish that I could do more broadcasting and stuff like that, but I can't. I'm playing, so like basketball, so it's hard for me to do that.
So we mentioned some of your time on the court and as a freshman, and you played in every game. So how were you able to make so much of an impact? A lot of those little things. How were you able to make such an impact on the floor in only your freshman year?
Yeah, so I knew coming in that they weren't going to need me to score. Pretty much they needed me, like the coaches, they told me they needed me to rebound and play defense. So that's kind of what I focused on every time I was out there. Again, trying to outwork everyone and get like offensive rebounds and stuff. But I didn't need to score. We had Riley, we had Sebastian, and we had Skyler, our 3 leading scorers. So they just needed me to rebound stuff, and that's what I did.
So now that the season is over, is it somewhat of a relief to not be a freshman anymore on that team?
I definitely think so. There's the upper class would definitely joke about me, like being if I would do something dumb maybe on the court, like maybe like, oh, that's a freshman mistake. So now I'm looking forward to do that to the incoming freshmen. But definitely it's nice to be a sophomore now.
Were there any of those moments that kind of stuck that was like, dang, I really wish it just stuck with you? It's like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
I can't think of an exact example, but who would always tell me like, oh my God, you're a freshman, was George Sikoriak. He would always tell me something like, oh, that's a freshman move.
You know, you got to go back and ask some of your teammates saying, hey, George would always tell me, oh, that's a freshman move. But what did George do during his freshman year that was the same thing? So
exactly.
You never know. You weren't there for that, but I'm sure he didn't have a clean record, so to say.
Definitely not. I totally agree with that right there.
Now you guys can just team up on the incoming class. So it's like a win-win now.
Yeah, we got a big class coming in, so we can't do that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Was there anybody when you came in that put you underneath their wing and sort of guided you in the right direction, told you the right thing, the wrong thing to do, not only on the basketball court, but maybe just in college in general?
I would probably say George again there. He when I came on my visit, I stayed with him overnight. And even when I was still back in high school, I would always be texting him if I had questions. And both him and Skylar have helped me out a lot. And then I was always in touch with Jack, who's my roommate now, and we kind of blended perfectly. But in terms of upperclassmen, it would be Skylar and George.
Those two guys really started Skylar and George really kind of found the role, especially Skylar. He was awesome this year, and then you came in again as a freshman making an impact as well. And we talked about your transition already from high school to college, but was there anything from the high school game to the college game that really made you change your perspective on how the game is played or anything like that, or some other things you needed to learn?
Well, I guess the age difference, because I'm playing against more grown men. I know Cortland. They had this one kid that I think he was 20 something. He was old, so I got to get used to playing against older competition, and guys are going to be stronger than me, so I got to make sure I can adapt to that. But that was definitely probably the biggest change from high school to college, and something that I had to adapt to.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, were there any against Cortland? You mentioned that bigger guy and anything like that. Was there any stories in the beginning of your college career? You're like, oh shit, now it's different. I'm in college. This is going to be a different game.
That was probably definitely in the beginning of my career. I had to get used to it. Like you said, there wasn't an exact example, but just the game is so much faster too. I have to get used to that. But in my high school, we played really fast, so it wasn't a huge change, but it was more just the size.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your high school years, you were the main leader on your team, or one of the main leaders. How does it feel now to not really be in that spotlight and just kind of serve as a key supporter for the team?
Yeah. So I was a captain in high school, and I really liked that role. But obviously, as a freshman, you're not going to be a captain of a college team, so you got to kind of know your place. But I try to voice my own opinion sometimes, and guys will listen. So I kind of try to lead by example, and again, I try to be the hardest worker, and if I can do that, then I can pave out maybe a leadership role later on in my career.
Now, Liam, do you envision yourself maybe in a couple of years as yourself as a captain on this Ithaca team?
I think so, yeah. That's my goal. I would love to be a captain of Ithaca Basketball.
You're definitely on the right track now, but is there any parts of your game that you're trying to change or tweak on a little bit as you're going forward through quarantine? You get to watch plenty of time to watch all the film from last season. So is there anything that you're doing now to maybe improve for next season in the coming years?
Yeah. So I've been trying to actually gain some weight. So I've always been pretty skinny, but I eat a lot, but it doesn't really pay off. So I've been trying to eat more protein and stuff like that, and just trying to gain more weight. And then on top of that, I'm just trying to work on my ball handling and my shooting, because you can always improve in those aspects.
Yeah, 6'4", 100-something pounds. So
we want to see it.
Hey, if you could body up a little bit, that's going to be a big deal. You're already good on the boards. You might kill somebody now if you get the shoulders going.
Next year, we want to see you inside, grab an offensive rebound, throw around the muscle, a little bit of elbow, get an and one or something like that. That'll be pretty sweet. That'll be pretty sweet.
Now, looking ahead to next year, have you envisioned any goals? Have you set the bar for yourself already?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I want to play as much as possible. I played about 11 minutes per game, so I want to obviously increase that. But as a team, we want to repeat as Liberty League champs. That's a given. We want to make the tournament again, and we talked about how we would like to make the Sweet 16. Well, honestly, we want to win it all. I mean, we shouldn't really settle. We shouldn't the bare minimum. We should always try to strive to be the greatest. But I think a Sweet 16 team is where we're striving for. I mean, we were so close last year against Swarthmore, but we couldn't beat them at the end. But that's one of our goals: Liberty League, and then making the tournament again.
Mm-hmm. Listen, everybody we talk to always said something great about you. You're an outgoing guy, fun, just life for the team, something like that, where it's just it's great to be around Spellman. Have you always been like that? Has that always been you, or have you really just came out now in high school and college?
I mean, that's kind of I'm a pretty outgoing person. I'm like an extrovert, but I think what people have told me a lot is that I have a pretty funny laugh. I don't know what it is. I guess I got a pretty funny laugh. I don't know. So
I get that. I get that.
I sometimes will try to make jokes, and the jokes won't be good, but I'll laugh at my own jokes, and that will be more funny than the joke itself. So it's pretty funny. But back to your question, I have always been outgoing and I try to always be positive too.
Sticking with sort of your personality with this next question, Skylar called himself sarcastic when he had to use one word to describe himself. I think you would think the same thing, but now the question's for you. One word to describe yourself, Liam.
Yeah. Funny because when you asked Skylar that, I thought it was sarcastic as well when I watched watched the video. But for me, is it in terms of anything, right? Like not just
anything.
Yeah.
I want to say funny, but I'm gonna go. I'm a kind guy. I mean, that's probably boring.
Okay.
I'm a pretty kind guy.
That's good.
Kind guy. Kind and funny guy. What else could you ask for? Liam Spellman, everybody.
That's me.
Yeah.
So we talked to Skylar about the new recruits and just bringing them in, that whole process. That was once you. So how do you feel now that you're the recruiter helping bring other new people into the program?
Yeah, it's definitely a different perspective. I actually just a couple of days ago I was helping out one of the recruits for picking classes and stuff like that, and just kind of talking about Ithaca basketball. So it's definitely a new perspective. But I was in their shoes last year, so I'm able to relate to them and answer questions. So I think that's important to be a voice for them.
Mm-hmm. Looking at your bio on the Ithaca website, says you have 4 older sisters. And growing up in a household like that, I wouldn't have an experience like that. I have a younger brother. But 4 older sisters, that must be tough. How has that molded you into the player you are today, the person you are today? And do you think your life would have been different without it?
My sisters are a huge part of my life. They've really helped me in all aspects. I mean, they're all older. Like I used to, funny story, I used to wish for a brother for Christmas. When I was younger, I used to wish for a brother. But in hindsight, I think I was glad that I was the only boy. But having my older sisters, I mean, I've been able to mature a lot, and I've been able to kind of just be able to interact with girls better, I guess. I don't know if that's funny. But I'm glad that I've had 4 older sisters, and people ask me like, oh, that must be a lot, but I love it. It's awesome.
Liam, do you have any memories when you're younger playing maybe some of your older sisters, maybe in some hoops, and them bullying you a little bit because you're little? There are any memories from that?
Definitely, because I've always been tall, but they were always taller than me when I was younger. So they would win my sister Shay particularly. She's the closest in age to me. She would always beat me in one-on-one. Then once I got taller than her, it was done. Like I would always beat her.
Is there anybody in the family now that can beat you, or is that it? That's all you?
I don't want to be cocky, but no.
No.
My dad actually, he just had knee surgery, so we haven't been able to play much. But the last time he played was a couple years ago, and he beat me. And so he said he's never playing me ever again.
I gotta give you credit about the family. Now, we're not close to Christmas, but the family Christmas video that you posted on Christmas, that was absolutely golden. Just great. Great. The whole family.
We do a lot of those. We made one a couple, I think it was 2015. We made a Christmas video, All I Want for Christmas Is You, Mariah Carey. That one was funny. We have we go on family vacations. My mom's side of the family, there's 21 of us. And we go on family vacations. And my sister Shay, who I just talked about, she's big in videos and always like that. And my family's funny with that. So we've made like 6 or 7 videos just like that. And they're hysterical.
Now, you might have already answered this next question, but outside of basketball, Liam, what else is fun for you?
I'm a huge movie guy, movie and TV shows.
Okay. So I think the obvious question
Dive
here.
more into this.
What's the favorite?
So, you can't really see it right. It's in the corner over there, but it's Miracle. That's my favorite movie of all time.
Really? The basketball player's favorite movie is a hockey movie. Okay.
It's interesting. I love it.
Wow. I wouldn't have thought that. Miracle being the favorite.
And I'm a big Marvel fan.
Okay.
So,
Okay. You got to dive
This
in.
kid, bro.
You got to dive in. Okay. I'm a big Marvel guy too. So do you have a top 3 for Marvel movies?
movies, Avengers Endgame,
Yep.
Captain America Winter Soldier,
Yep.
and I'm a huge Captain America fan, so I might go Captain America Civil War. Those are my
Okay.
top three.
I think Captain America, the First Avenger, I think is a little underrated.
Underrated, exactly.
I know. That is like a
Completely right.
classic. I love that. Cap's the GOAT. I mean, that's where
I'm a huge Captain America fan. So Infinity Wars is a really good movie, but he's not like his true self. He doesn't have a shield in that.
But the sick entrances, like in Infinity War when he's going to save Vision and he catches the spear, or like I think I honestly shrieked when he caught Thor's hammer the first time at Endgame. I lost my mind, legitimately.
I was in the movie theater watching it, and I almost like knocked out my friend because when he got it, I was like, oh, I jumped up and I was going crazy. And then Avengers Assemble, nuts.
I literally I watched that scene I think 2 weeks ago. It literally makes you want to run through a wall.
It's the greatest scene in cinematic history.
100%.
That's
this
up
guy
there, man. That's like
no, he is 100% correct. 100%.
I'm a Star Wars guy, so I'm thinking serious. I'm
Star
a Star
Wars is good,
guy,
but
so that's my thing.
I love Star Wars. Who's your favorite Jedi?
Favorite Obi-Wan.
See, my dad's more.
Obi-Wan's always my favorite. You can't beat Obi-Wan. People say Anakin, but I get it. Some people say Ahsoka. I get it, but I gotta go.
Obi-Wan's a go. I respect that.
Yeah.
So we talked to Grace Cannon earlier, and she said that the women's team listened to a ton of Pop Smoke pregame. Who's one artist that has always played either in the locker room or on your playlist before the games?
I Pop Smoke is pretty popular for us. I know Riley Thompson in particular was a big fan of Foreigner, and we would listen to that all the time. He was honestly probably towards the end of our season. He was probably the most popular we would listen to too.
They love the woo.
What'd you say?
Oh yeah,
they love the woo.
They love the woo.
The woo. Now, is that would you say that's your favorite artist as well? Like your go-to artist if you had to play your own playlist?
No, I have a kind of a different movie taste than a lot of people. I like obviously pop and hip hop, but I like old rock.
Okay.
Like my favorite song of all time is Bohemian Rhapsody.
That's a classic. That's a classic. Queen be killing it.
That is not my favorite Queen song, however. It's Don't Stop Me Now.
Mine is All Dead from Queen. And I know that's like an under the rug one, and you don't really hear that a lot, but I think that one just hits hard by Queen.
No, my dad is a huge Queen fan, so he's pretty much brought me up with Queen. So I've listened to that all the time.
Now, did you enjoy the movie Bohemian? Because I know you're a big movie guy. Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, I loved it. I think Rami Malek was perfect for the role.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, talking some sports teams, pro sport teams, if I remember correctly, I remember we were in the first day in sport media class and we all had to share our favorite team or something like that. They were passing the football around. I think you're a Packers fan. Is that correct?
Oh yeah.
Why Green Bay? What's with the Green Bay Packers?
Yeah, we see the giant Red Sox sticker in the background. How do you get away with liking Green Bay in New England?
I am very weird in my sports team. So first off, I'll say the Green Bay because of Aaron Rodgers. I am a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, and I didn't really have a team a couple years ago, and I was like, I love Aaron Rodgers, my favorite player. I'm gonna be a full-fledged Green Bay Packer fan, and then the Red Sox I love them. I don't know. I've always been a fan of them. Fenway Park. I went as a kid and I fell in love with that. And then actually, I'm a Heat fan. Mainly because of D Wade, favorite player.
D Wade. Now, Green Bay. Matt Cain, another well-known Packers fan within the sport media program. He's probably very happy with that answer if he tunes into this one.
Go Pack, go.
Gotcha. Yeah, the respect is all there. You said you're a Heat fan, and now they headed to the bubble. This is it, trying to make a big push. Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, a lot of guys on that team looking to do some great things. Is this the year? Can they do it?
They are dangerous, I feel. They have a lot of talent. I mean, Bam Adebayo is probably, outside of probably Kawhi Leonard, one of the best defenders that can guard Giannis. So I think that's going to be huge. I mean, and if Jimmy Butler can lead them and be like that true star, I think they have all the right chance to beat anyone really. But if I had to pick one team, even though I'm a Heat fan, I got the Lakers winning it all.
Oh, you just made Dane really
Hey, listen,
happy.
I'm a
That's
Lakers
his
fan.
squad.
I'm a Laker fan.
I think LeBron is
I
gonna
picked the Clippers.
See,
And
this
it's
is what a
tough
weirdo,
for me to
right?
say that. Especially, we had a huge argument in our last episode about how Rondo's injury is going to impact the Lakers. And I think it's going to be bigger than people think.
Yeah,
It's
no, definitely. I agree with that.
Thank you.
I don't
They
know.
did not
we,
agree with
we
me.
had a big discussion saying that's not going to be such a big deal. LeBron's going to get all the
Yes, it
minutes.
will.
It's
He's the
not-
secondary ball
it's
handler.
really not.
I think-
yeah, but LeBron's the primary. He's
Okay,
gonna
we're
play
not gonna get
42
into it
minutes.
again.
We're
No
gonna do it
debate.
again.
I had our debate already.
I just think one thing that if Dwight Howard didn't play, that would have hurt more.
Yes, I agree with that way more than if Rondo's sitting now. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned Milwaukee as a team that could potentially – not Milwaukee. I'm stupid. You mentioned the Lakers as a team who you think is going to win it all. Who are some sleeper teams you're thinking of maybe in the East or the West? It could be Miami maybe that you think could make a push late in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, so definitely for the East, I gotta say the Heat. I would have liked. I mean, in the Western Conference, it's so competitive, but I like the Nuggets.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's an interesting answer.
Yeah.
I really like Jokic, and I think he's
Skinny Jokic.
He's the,
Yeah.
that's gonna be interesting to see because he's always used his body and stuff
Yeah.
for offense. But I'm a big fan of the Nuggets and then the Mavericks as well. But they got a tough matchup with the Clippers first round.
Never know. I mean, I personally think Miami, I think they'll get past the first round. I think Indiana will give them a run for their money, potentially.
Yeah.
But I find it hard for them to beat a Boston or Milwaukee. But we'll see. We'll see. Jimmy Butler certainly might have some tricks up his sleeve. You never know.
Hey, I bought them in our buy-sell segment a couple episodes ago, so I
I
believe
don't even
in
remember
them.
that, honestly.
Jimmy and Bam. So switching another podcast sponsored by 1306 Sports, Goat Chat did a
Shout out.
start bench segment.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out 1306 Sports. and Goat Chat. They had to pick between LeBron, Giannis, and Kawhi. Those guys are arguably the three best players in the bubble. So rather than doing a start bench cut question, if you had to pick one player to build your team for a playoff run with, who would it be out of those three?
I gotta go LeBron. Just
Yeah.
to me, this might be some heat, but LeBron is to me the greatest player of all time.
Over Jordan.
Yeah, I just think all around.
But we haven't had the discussion on this
For
show,
good
and
reason.
I don't think we're gonna ever do that.
think anyone
Maybe
wants
we'll
to
wait
do it.
for a long time because
Maybe we'll wait until we're good enough to have LeBron
Yeah.
James himself on the show, which will never happen. So I don't think we're ever going to.
But do you have an exact reasoning why you think LeBron is better?
Well, I just think he's a better just all around basketball player. I would say the weird thing, I don't know if this is wrong and kind of hypocritical, but I think when you think of the GOAT, you think of Michael Jordan.
Mhm.
But when you think of like the best player, it's LeBron. And I just think if LeBron didn't have so many losses in the finals, I think he would like the argument wouldn't be as crazy. But I think just because Jordan's 6-0 and LeBron's was it like 3-6, that kills his resume. Especially the finals against the Mavericks, that killed his resume.
I think the second that finals, and I think the second the one where they lost to the Spurs with the Heat his last year, with the two he lost with the Heat, I just don't. Those are the ones that really hurt his resume because he could have won that. He had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh on his team.
Yeah, no,
So-
I agree with that. Because the first one with the Cavs, it was him against the whole team. Like
him against the world multiple times.
Tim
He's
Duncan.
Try to be able to do that
Prime
against
Tim
the world.
Duncan, man.
and then later against the Warriors, like Kyrie was either hurt, Love was either hurt. I think they only had maybe 1 year with all of them together.
Yeah.
And they ended up winning it. But it's just, I think he gets too much hate against the Warriors just because it was pretty much like the last championship. It was him against literally the Warriors. He had 50 in game one. And then J.R. Smith wants to run out with the ball. And
Hey, it might happen this year too. He's with the Lakers now. Never know.
yeah.
Let's hope
Hopefully,
the scoreboard is bigger in the bubble. That might help, something like that. Either way, we're gonna switch segments and we're gonna get into something that we like to call Jaden's jump ball. So that's my segment. This is what I do. This is my thing. I give you some trivia about yourself. All right. Usually I give them trivia about things that are going on in the league and some fun stuff. outside of basketball as well, like revolving around basketball culture. But this is all about you, man. This is all about Liam Spellman. This is all you. So
if I don't get that, that's gonna be bad. Damn.
Yeah, some are good, like easy questions. Some are hard. I think you get them all. I think you will. The last one's a tough one. But
I kind of gave away one of them earlier in the show, sadly.
He may have spoiled one earlier, but I'm gonna rephrase it, see if you can get it. All right. So you played in every game last season, right? How many games did you play in? You played in every game. You had a minute in every game. You did something. So how many games total was that?
I think it was either 27 or 28. We had 20 wins. I'm not gonna do math. I'm just gonna guess 27.
30 games. You played
way off.
All 30 games. And I think that's just a testament to you that you're staying healthy. And not only you're staying healthy, you're balling in these games. You're hustling like crazy. And that's a huge testament to you.
Thank you. Should have known that. 30, dang.
Listen, we're going to go back a little bit, test your memory here once again. Looking at high school now, you're a part of the CHSCA D2 All-State team, right? What teammate joined you in winning this award? So you were on this team together, and what teammate also joined you in the All-State team for Division II?
My boy JJ.
JJ Brennan, yes, at Waterford. And you guys still stay in touch? Are you guys still close?
Yeah, he's one of my best friends. We're in contact all the time. He's one of my best friends for my whole life, pretty much.
Yeah, I remember looking at the highlights when preparing for this, and you two are just a dynamic duo, and I hope he's doing good. And obviously, just two ballers really coming out of high school. This is the tough one now. This is the tough one. I'm not sure if you'll get this one. And it might. When I wrote this question, I thought it was like, oh, that's a fun fact. But now that I read it again, it sounds a little bit like a diss, but it's not. It's not a diss. It's not a diss. It's a testament to you once again. How many games this season did you have more rebounds than points? So you grabbed more boards than you did points, and you did that pretty often, yeah.
I did. I feel like I did that a lot.
How'd you calculate that? That must have took a long time.
You check the stats. We do our research here, dribbling around.
Yeah,
man.
we all do.
Oh, I respect that. So I played 30 games we talked about. That is a hard question.
Yeah, I'll give it like a three game range or something like that. 2 game range.
2 game range because 2 game range.
I'm gonna go with like 6 times.
Double that. 12 times.
Actually?
12 times more boards than points. But honestly, coming off the bench is tough maybe to get into a rhythm, but hustle points are all there, man. They're all there. Just superstar status right there.
I gotta look at my stats more often.
You gotta admire those.
Yeah,
I admire those. Coming off the bench, always a little spark. I remember like we would be at halftime or something like that. Jaden and I would be talking about the game. We'd be like, "How about that effort, Liam Spellman coming off the bench, doing his job, like chipping in a few points, like setting a great screen, rolling to the basket or something like that." Like that. That's what we love about the team or something like that. We'd always love to mention you during the halftime show and stuff like that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So for our final question, just want to say thank you again for joining us. You won multiple championships in high school, and you started your college career off with one. How many Liberty League championships do you see you guys winning by the time your season concludes?
I mean, I want to win one every year. I feel like that should be the goal. Obviously, I think next year we got a great team coming back. We lost 3 big seniors, but I think we got a great team coming back. And then for my junior and senior year, I feel like we definitely should have a chance to do that as well. So I'm going to say every year.
And you start sizing these fingers, man. These rings are gonna get heavy, man. I know you're lifting them weights now. It's gonna come in handy when you get all those rings, man.
Yeah, I guess I'll try to be actually like Bill Russell and have as many as him.
Bill Russell, man. The Bill Russell of his town, ladies and gentlemen, Liam Spellman.
Yeah, that does it for us. Thank you again, Liam, for joining us. Make sure to go follow him on social media. Watch him and the Bombers next year defend their Liberty League title. Now, guys, let's get back to the rest of our show.
Liam Spellman, what a guy. What a guy. Can't wait for another interview, but he was a fun one.
Yeah, fun one for sure. Really a kind guy, very funny, very personable, and the movies. He's
Ray
into.
Allen story.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, right
what
off
a
the
superstar.
Right off the bat. Going back to some NBA action. Some notable players, young players in the league. They're starting to dominate the league. Of course, you have LeBron James in year 17, still doing it all, might win MVP against Giannis. And I'm sure we're going to mention Giannis in our next segment. But we're going to do a little fun segment right here. NBA players that deserve a big 10-year contract. Now, obviously, they have to be young. Connor, I believe, has 4 players. I have 3, as does Jaden. We're each going to list off our players that deserve that big year contract, and then we'll explain the reasons why. So, Connor, you have the most players. We'll let you go first.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I actually forgot about a player. So I now have 5. And
Wow.
I don't know why, but I forgot about Giannis just because I was thinking way younger. But no, definitely Giannis is getting that 10-year deal for me. And another one I know you guys have is Luka. Those 2 guys, They don't need an argument. 3 other guys I'm not so sure about. I got Jason Tatum.
Okay.
I got Trae Young. And I got John Morant.
Yeah. I have 3 guys. And I have Jason Tatum. I have Luka Doncic. And I have Giannis, of course. And we'll explain why. So, Jaden, you go with your list.
I have the same as Dane, but I am also question marking Tatum. I think think about it. Obviously, 10-year deals aren't allowed in the NBA, and if you really think about it, put pen to paper, all right, this guy I'm gonna have on my team for the next 10 years. I don't know if I've seen enough from Tatum to make me want to give him that 10-year contract. I say that for Luka, 100%. He's so young and just way too good to you have to give him the contract. Way too good.
I don't think
he's like leaps and bounds.
And we're not going to argue Doncic. We might talk a little bit about Tatum or Giannis, but Connor, Trae Young and John Morant, explain.
So I'm just looking at Trae Young's offenses. He's arguably a top, I'd say, 3 or 4 offensive point guard in the game.
What else does he do?
What? Well, I mean, if he's pulling up from like half court and averaging like 30 a game like 2 years from now, I think that 10-year contract's looking good. And no one counts on him for his defense. I think they need to build around him. I'm not even halfway through my points. Don't put your hand up already. But no, I don't. I think they need to build around him defensively on that perimeter just so he's not being scrutinized 24/7 because Steph Curry really isn't known for I know it's kind of too early for that comparison in Young's career, but Curry isn't known for his defense. They're both known for their prolific offense, their great shooting, great handles, and playmaking ability. I think Young can eventually transcend into that Curry area. I'm not saying like obviously because Curry's probably a top 20 player at least of all time. I'm not counting on Young to be there just yet, just because of accolades and everything. But Young's offense is promising enough to where I say, yeah, I'll give you that 10-year deal with the anticipation that you'll probably grow a little bit defensively, but easily by halfway through that 10-year deal, you're going to be a top 2 at least offensive point guard in the NBA.
The problem is, and you mentioned Steph Curry does enough on defense, and you can't expect a general management to build a Steph Curry-like team around Trae Young. Bob Myers and the Warriors did one of the best jobs in NBA history, even before they got Kevin Durant, building a team around that. And you never know if you're going to get Steph and Clay, arguably the 2 best shooters.
No, of course. Yeah, I'm saying like I think Herter and Reddish, I think those guys will be –
DeAndre Hunter's pretty good as well.
What?
DeAndre Hunter's pretty talented as well.
Yeah, too. So, I mean, what you need to do is just add those young wings to just be able to take that pressure defensively off Young, which I think if you're looking at a talent like Young, I'm fine doing that.
And you mentioned the problem, though, I have with your argument, taking the pressure off Young. The point guard spot is becoming such a dominant spot in the NBA, and you're seeing all these prolific guards that can score it. And Trae Young's one of those offensively, but continually defensively, how much do we know he's going to improve on that defensive end? He's a smaller guy than mostly all point guards in the NBA. And if you watch his game, he's a defensive liability. And it's not like I get Steph Curry and the Warriors weren't too good, but I really need to start to see the Atlanta Hawks, who we're going to talk about maybe in a couple episodes and teams outside the bubble. I really need to see them ascend up in the standings because they were god-awful this year. God-awful. And with a guy like Trae Young and his offensive skills, I feel like they should win some more games. I get they're really young, But that's the problem I have with it. I need to see them win a little bit more and him give a little bit more defensive effort rather than just pop threes from 35 feet and nutmeg people and look cool.
No, yeah, my Young and Morant argument is just kind of like, all right, let's just put this in the bank and like it's more of a gamble than the other three, obviously, because
it's like a baseball contract you're sort of giving them. You're giving them like a baseball deal, like, oh, they're a really good prospect. Let's give them a deal. Let's lock them up for cheap for a long time. That's how I'm not looking at that question like this at all. I'm looking at these guys are almost like the only person I could really say that about is Luka. That's for sure. I think it's the only one who really could. And Giannis, because he's strong and he's just been able to do so much. Accolades going on with him. But the two guys you're talking about, Ja Morant and Trae Young, yeah, they're good, but are they 10-year deal worth guys? I really do not think so. 10 years?
Ja reminds me, no, he looks like a young Derrick Rose. Obviously, hopefully he doesn't have the Derrick Rose injuries. That was crazy. That was crazy.
That, man.
But Ja also, he has a much better team built around him. Who knows what numbers is he really going to put up, because Dillon Brooks isn't bad. Jaren Jackson Jr., who knows if they could get another asset, because they're starting to draft well. Brandon Clark's good. So is he really going to put up the numbers worthy of a 10-year contract? Yes, I think he's Rookie of the Year, and based off what the NBA said, they recently just said they're basing it off the regular season up to COVID-19. So the Rookie of the Year should go to Morant, but I need to see more. I need to see Ja start averaging 23, 24, 25.
This was his rookie year. I mean, we're talking about a 20
I understand.
First year in the league.
I think your decision's a little premature because we haven't seen – Ja's a better defender than Trae. And Trae, I need to see him put not Trae Young offensive numbers, but I need to see him explode a little bit more consistently on the offensive end, night in and night out, and shoot a little bit better. That's my problem.
This is like the two guys I'm talking about that you didn't have. It's almost like I'm betting on the potential. And I thought you have to agree that the potential is there. It's just you guys are clearly just taking a different strategy than I am in this.
It's a different general manager tactics. I get it. Is there anybody do you think that we wouldn't? Is there anybody that people think that we should give it to, but we won't? For
who I really thought about this one? Devin Booker. I really thought about that.
I did too. I think I need to see a little more, more winning from him for to get
for Young. How are you gonna say? You know what? I might lean towards Booker.
I
need to see more winning from him. That's why he's not on my list for a reason.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. I would probably pick Young over Booker. Another name that I'm not really surprised that we didn't have on our list, but another notable name that we exempted was Zion.
Injury.
That's it. A lot of people have talked about that.
For me.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a good reason though, because you just look at it, even through college and couldn't even start the NBA season and everything like that. Like, how are you going to throw a 10-year contract at the guy that you couldn't even get to play through one season at the youngest of his career, at one of the best physical peaks of his life, right? He can't even play one season. It's not his fault. He's a monster. He's a monster. When he's on the court, he's great. Just is he going to be on the court? So you can't give him a 10-year deal. No way.
Some other notable names. I don't think he can put it up consistently. He might be an all-star for a few years, but I don't think 10 years. Brandon Ingram, Karl Anthony Towns. No, these are guys that I'm not going to give it to. There was one other guy I was thinking of, Ben Simmons, but those three guys.
Don't mention his name in this.
God.
No.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? But those are some young guys that are talented in the league. But before we switch over toward the end of our show, Jaden, you mentioned you had a question mark against Jason Tatum. We all had him because he's been arguably the best up-and-coming rising star in this league. But why the question mark? We all had him. We see the potential, but what's it mean?
I don't know if I would give him a 10-year deal, non-guarantee. I don't know how to do, but I'm very hesitant to I need to see it one more time. If I see it one more time, if he come back next season, balls out exactly how he did this year, proves himself, leader of that Celtics team. If it's undeniable, then you give it to him. Give me one more year and I'll give it to him. I just can't give it to him at this moment. Just for me personally, maybe it's just me not liking the Celtics. Maybe it's just me not liking Tatum as much as some other people do. But give me one more year, and then I'll give it to him. I need to see
No,
that's
I think that's fair because if you're basing this solely off of production, if he doesn't have that kind of down second year, I think Jaden, you're probably giving it to him. But considering the fact that he had that really good rookie year, he just didn't live up to expectations that second year. But once Kemba went down, he's blossomed into a guy that now we're obviously talking about that if Kemba doesn't go down and he doesn't step up his game, we're probably not even talking about him, or we might be mentioning him along with Ben Simmons in that honorable mentions part. But I really think that now that Kemba sat out, Tatum knows his role. Everyone on that Celtics team knows Tatum's role and their role now. So I think even though Kemba will be the main point guard and the ball handler for that team, Tatum is easily the most important, most valuable player on that.
Yeah.
One more year.
Kemba has that lingering knee issue right now, and I'm not even thinking next year. If Jason Tatum can lead the Bucks to the Eastern Conference Final, not the Bucks, lead the Celtics to the Eastern Conference Finals, likely against the Bucks, and maybe even make the finals. Boston with a healthy Kemba is my second pick in the East to make the finals. Jaden, I know it might be Toronto for you, but I think there's a real possibility of that. And if we see Jason Tatum not only go off next year, but go off in the playoffs, I think he's deserving. If he can push the Celtics all the way to the brink of the NBA Finals this year, or potentially even make it, I think he's a lock. If he's the leader. I don't know.
How old is Siakam? Is he too old to get that contract?
You know what?
The one time we don't do our research here on dribbling around.
the one time.
He's 26, but I'm going to make an argument for him. Pascal Siakam the last 2 years has improved so much. His game has improved so much that you don't know, like Giannis almost. I'm not comparing him to Giannis, but his game has grown so much because he wasn't introduced to this American basketball as early as other people like Giannis. Mm-hmm. So how much can his game grow? Can he become a three-point shooter like Giannis? Can he become one of the best players in the NBA? So there's potential for Siakam there. And Jaden, that's a great point.
He doesn't have the luxury of time. So it's not like I could say, give me a year or two and I'll give you the contract, because in a year or two he might be too old to get the 10-year deal.
4-year player at New Mexico State.
Exactly. So, maybe not a 10-year deal, but hey, if you get him under contract, good job. It's a good job for sure.
I was handing out those contracts like candy compared to you guys, but honestly, I think you guys make good points. Like, he was introduced late to this American style of basketball, and the progress he's made just simply in the last 2 years. I mean then now he really stepped up as the true leader of the Raptors team. Granted, they play a really good style of team basketball, but I think we can easily agree that Siakam is that alpha on the team. I think I would I'd be a little more hesitant.
Give another one out.
10-year deal. 10 years. 10 years.
You want? Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Connor.
I thought about it just to get under your skin, but here, how about this? Thunder in the next 8 years, we'll draft a player worthy of a 10-year contract.
You probably will. Sam Presti's a great draft.
Yeah, they'll probably draft like 3 of them.
They'll probably draft an MVP.
They'll draft them, but they won't be on that team.
They'll draft an MVP, and when he wins MVP, the season he wins MVP, the Thunder will make the Western Conference Finals. Will lose to the Lakers with Anthony Davis and Giannis, and then
get out of here
with Giannis, and then the Lakers will win. But then the MVP will leave to go to the Warriors, the Lakers, or something like that, and it's just how it goes. That's how Thunder work. The Thunder team works, right? Man. 3 MVPs all gone, no champs. It's got to be a tough life.
I'm sad for Connor.
The episode, we're done.
Actually, Harden wasn't an MVP in OKC. You gave him away before he got the MVP. Wow. Tough decision. Man.
Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Dribbling Around.
Tune into episode 10. Connor, you can finish the outro. Go ahead.
Is this 10?
Connor. No, this is 10, but I said tune in.
9, yeah. So we'll see you next time for episode 10.
Subscribe.
Sorry for the rough intro, but hopefully we'll have another interview soon.
Comment, subscribe
to our YouTube channel, like our Instagram, comment, share, whatever you do. Make sure to follow us both on all 3 of us on our socials. Signing out for Connor, Dane, and Jaden. Thanks for listening. See you next time.